want to go to the great Andrew Klavan, host of The Andrew Klavan Show, of course, and also author of the new book, After That, The Dark. And recently as well, The Kingdom of Cain. And then another book that I think will be relevant to our conversation here is The Truth and Beauty, How the Lives and Works of England's Great Poets Point the Way to a Deeper Understanding of the Words of Jesus. All great stuff. Mr. Klavan, how are you, sir?
I'm good. It's nice to be here.
It's great to talk to your son often, and to the dad now as well. Sir, do you believe in spiritual warfare?
Oh, absolutely do I believe in it. Yes. In fact, I think one of the real difficulties we face in this time is that even speaking openly about spiritual warfare, about God, and about the forces that seek to control us and fight over us is considered to be superstitious or simply irrelevant, where I think it is the only relevant thing. And somehow we have to put it in terms convincing enough and immediate enough to get people to see that.
Back in the day, did one have to go through such effort to convince people that it was a thing?
No, they experienced it directly, and they didn't dismiss it. What we have now is a system supposedly scientific. It uses a lot of scientific terms that explains everything away, so that like anything that you see or experience is put in psychological terms, by which I mean a closed system. It's not that we don't have psychologies, we do, but the system is not closed. What psychology, modern psychology poses is that everything comes from within us. It's a kind of metaphor for our physical desires, and in no way is there anything coming from outside. No spiritual invasions or help is to be had. It's all just kind of an illusion of our physical life. And I think that that's the exact opposite of the truth. I think our physical life is, in fact, a metaphor for the spiritual life. And that when we get those two things in order, that's when we start to find, oh, yes, I'm on a path to something beautiful and possibly, hopefully, eternal. But I think when you leave that possibility out, we're just stumbling around in the dark.
I love having these conversations because I go back to pre-Christian Mike. I go back to atheist Mike, like maybe 15 years ago or so. And I could definitely see how you look back in history and you're like, oh yeah, those people they thought everyone was a witch, Salem witch trials. And now we've progressed so much, thank goodness. And now we can really understand the science behind what's going on. Why is that not progress, really?
Yeah, well, it's not progress because the fact is those images can get in our way. So, for instance, if somebody talks about a demon and a little picture comes into your mind of a little red guy with horns and a pitchfork or something like that, that actually is taking you away from the truth of our experience, which is that the spiritual forces are in fact spiritual. They are invisible. They are not something that you can see. They're not always something that you can even understand fully. If you're a human being, we see through a glass darkly. So what we have done is we have taken the superstition that there was superstition, there is superstition now, and we have taken the superstitions of the past and we mock them and throw out the demon with the bathwater, as it were. But in fact, I think that the spiritual life looks exactly like the life we're living. It's not like you're suddenly going to see, the little red guy with his pitchfork, but you are going to experience an intentionality about the world. This is, I think, the most important thing. If I could leave like one message to people, especially to unbelievers, is that the world is a made thing. The universe is a made thing. And like any made thing, whether it's a book I write or a painting or a baby, it actually carries with it the imprint of its maker. And you can start to discern the intentions of its maker. And I think that is the purpose of our lives, to live into those intentions, each one in his own individual way, but all of us in a way that's very similar. And so I think that until you understand that, and as you say, you can look back on your unbelieving self and see this, until you understand that, you have no way to grow. You have no way to actually move towards something. There's a great difference between being lost in the dark and being lost in the dark with a star that you can follow to a brighter place. And I think that that's what's missing in the world, is missing in our conversations. You can't even have serious conversations about it in public. It's a very, very difficult space for us to maneuver out of.
I just want to hear you keep talking. Specifically on that, but specifically the word intention. Is that the word you used? Was it intention or impression? What was the word you used
intention.
about that?
Intention.
Intention.
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean? Can you go more into that?
Well, I think we're made with a purpose. And I think that, you make anything with a purpose, even if it's only the purpose of expressing yourself. And so when God expresses himself in creation, we can learn his intentions for it and for us, and then start to live in a way that actually is in line with those intentions and leading toward those intentions. I think, I think there has been a problem sometimes in communicating these things to people because we talk too much, like we're wagging our fingers at people, like they're telling them you did wrong and therefore you're going to be punished. Instead of saying, maybe you would be happier if you did this. Maybe this is, that's we all know that there is a person inside us that we should be and we're made to be, but are not yet. Everybody knows this. Every single person knows it. And some people give up on that search. Some people go the wrong way in trying to find that search. But if you go slowly and if you have a guide, a North Star toward which you're moving, you can find yourself getting closer and closer through life to that person that you were made to be, that God intended you to be. And when you live into those intentions, you're more joyful. You're just happier. Life is more lively when you're doing that. And I think that, Jesus said, I have told you these things so that my joy will be in you and your joy will be complete. And I think that the minute you turn in that direction, and the minute you turn in his direction, there is an incredible upsurge of joy. There's a struggle sometimes to get rid of things that are in your way. There's a struggle every day to get better and move better, but it's the struggle of an athlete, a training to win, instead of the struggle of a guy just sitting there in a cage and not knowing what he's supposed to be doing. Everybody suffers in life, but some people suffer for a purpose. And I think that that purpose is the reason you were made. And I think it's very beautiful to move toward it. It's a very interesting thing in life that all you have to do is turn in the right direction and everything improves. I mean, this is true in politics. It's true in everything. The minute you turn the ship of state in the right direction, everything gets better. And you think like, well, we haven't even achieved anything yet. We've just turned the ship. But in fact, the results are immediate. And I found that. I mean, I was very afraid. I became a Christian very late in life, and I was very afraid that I would lose my sense of reality, that I would become one of these happy talk guys who has an answer for everything, And I just thought I don't like those guys now. I don't want to become one. But in fact, the weird shock of it all was that I became much more realistic. In some ways, my outlook became darker, even though my heart became lighter. And I suddenly saw, oh no, now things make sense. Now I can start to say, okay, there's the next place I got to go to. And my experience has been that God only shines the light in front of your feet about 2 inches. And so you're always moving a little bit in the dark. You're always a little bit afraid. And that's where the trust comes in and the faith comes in. But knowing that you're going somewhere, it takes you through periods of grief. It takes you through periods of suffering. And it takes you through periods of joy without you getting lost, because you can get lost even in joy. Without you getting lost. And it's just a much more beautiful experience. I think that once you see it for what it is, the reality of it, it just is. It looks the same as any other life. It just is a much richer, deeper, and more realistic experience.
I love all that. So beautiful. I want to get your book. Last question before the book. Or else what? What happens if you deny the spiritual realm and you just live in this materialistic realm? What is that life like?
Well, I've seen this a lot. I mean, I've seen people who have sacrificed everything they knew was good to get some desire, to fulfill some desire. And desire is a beautiful thing. I think desire is how God tells us how he tells us where to move, where to go, what we're looking for. But desire is also a perilous thing. And I see people who desire something so much that they set aside the good of that desire in order to just achieve the satisfaction of that desire. And it's a terrible thing to see. You see it all the time. I worked in Hollywood for a while, and you see it out there of people who have everything. They were born beautiful. They're emulated, adulated. People love them. They're idols. They're icons, and they die in a bathtub of a drug overdose after living a life of abuse and suffering. And you think, like, what does it take to make people happy? They have all the money, all the talent, all the adoration in the world, and yet they're miserable. And I think you ask me what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Sometimes they don't have any of those things. They don't fulfill any of their desires, but the misery is still there. but sometimes they do fulfill them, and the misery is there. Whereas you
Yeah.
do meet people who are just like, you know, I know where I'm going, and I know that sometimes my desires are going to pull me off to the side, and I'm just going to stick on that road. I'm going to stick on that road, and my desires will be fulfilled in a better way, in a new way, in a fresher way, and I'll see the motivation for them. It's just a more beautiful life, and to me, beauty. I was talking before about how materialist systems are closed systems. They think that everything just comes out of us. Your faith is an illusion. You have an experience of God's presence. That's just a little light going off in your head, a little in your brain, something happening there. But if you realize that, in fact, you're living in an open system, a system where the Spirit actually will come into you and through you will communicate with the Spirit outside of yourself, then you start to see, oh, wow, this is really beautiful. This is something important. And I think beauty itself, the experience of beauty, is the experience of that outer thing. Because why else are there certain things that touch us that we just say that's beautiful? It's not pretty. Pretty is like you like one thing, I like another thing, but there are things that are beautiful. A mother with a baby is beautiful. And you think like, what is that? And I read a whole book once explaining how the sense of beauty evolved. It was evolution. I was reading it and I thought, there is more nonsense in this book than any book I've ever read. I thought, well, congratulations. You've written a book that's almost completely nonsense, because you can't explain it. There's more beauty in the world and more love in the world that can be explained by any evolutionary system, no matter what you think of evolution. It is something weirdly coming into us from outside.
Let's talk about your new book, your newest thriller. After that, The Dark. Perhaps it ties into our conversation here as well.
Yeah, well, one of my great fears when I realized I was becoming a Christian, and I wrote about this in my memoir, The Great Good Thing, is as I was struggling with this idea that I was actually a Christian, I kept praying to God, please, God, don't make me a Christian novelist, because I didn't want to be one of these guys who told these happy talk stories, where a little girl loses her bunny and Jesus brings it back again and everything's all right. Prayer always gets you what you want, and that sort of thing. But in fact, my stories, and I'm a crime writer, I write stories of suspense and stories of mystery. My stories have become much harder and more realistic, and yet they deal with a world that I'm describing to you now, a world that is not just about the people in it. It is also about the things outside it that can't be seen. And so anybody who reads after that, The Dark, will not get a sermon. They will not get a happy talk story in which everything works out for the people who believe, but they will know that they are living in a world that is not what it seems, that is more than what it seems. And I write about that very carefully, and I think After That, The Dark is one of the best thrillers I ever wrote, and I'm really proud of it. And I think that anybody who reads it will see what I'm talking about, and hopefully go back as part of a series, and hopefully read that, and then go back to the beginning and read the whole series.
That's great. Make it a twofer this season. Get both of Andrew Klavan's books, The Kingdom of Cain, and then his newest thriller, After That, The Dark. Andrew, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you.
It's great talking to you. Thank you.
Every Monday on my SiriusXM radio show, we have a gratitude segment. People call and say what they're grateful for. And we do it for important reasons, but we don't have a lot of time here. Let me go quick. There's two categories of gratitude calls that move me the most, that I'm most impressed by, I guess. And the first is when people call in who are in the middle of suffering and they're still grateful. So in the midst of death, job loss, sickness, whatever very difficult thing is happening in life, and they're still grateful, that's very moving. My second favorite group of calls are when people who call in and they're so tuned into life. They're so tuned into what's going around them, and they have such a perfect pacing of life and perspective that they notice the littlest things. And they're grateful for things that I just blow past all the time and don't fully appreciate. We had someone just calling on Monday talking about the beautiful blue sky that she saw as she was riding her horse in South Carolina. I just love that, right? Like, I've never looked at the sky and was like, wow, that's awesome. I'm never like, how beautiful. I never sat there and be grateful for a blue sky. And I bring these up here because one aspect of the devil with spiritual warfare is to keep you out of the present. Anything to keep you distracted, anything to keep you away from God, anything to keep you ungrateful for life is a win for the enemy. So the way to combat that is to be grateful all the time in the midst of suffering, and also to be grateful about these so-called little things in life. It's so beautiful to see a person who understands spiritual warfare because it shows such a depth of wisdom. Those people never panic. Someone who understands spiritual warfare has the right timeline of life. They hold on to life loosely. But when you hold on loosely, you can actually notice the goodness around you more clearly. Whether you're just going through life and you're not too busy to see the beautiful things around you, or even if you're in suffering, you notice the goodness around you more clearly. I think of Ecclesiastes 1, the very beginning. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. The word vanity, whenever you see that in your Bible, it probably has a footnote to it. And that's because that is a very poorly translated word, and every Bible translation knows it. So they're like, we got to footnote this and give some more context. It comes from this Hebrew word, Hebel, Hebel, or Hebel. It means vapor, or a mist, or mere breath. Life is a vapor, is a better translation. The idea is that life is a thing that it's fleeting. The vanity translations, it's not good. Sometimes some Bible translations say meaningless, and that's way off. that life is meaningless. Like, no. That's not it. That's way too negative a connotation. What the preacher's saying here is that everything in life, it's a breath. It's a puff of wind. It's smoke. Try grabbing smoke, right? You blow out a candle, some little smoke comes up. Try grab. You can't. Even as your act of reaching towards it makes it disappear. Psalm 144 is the same word. It says, man is like a breath. His days are like a passing shadow. And the idea here is, from Ecclesiastes, is that we try to gain control of the world. That is the things we see and can touch. We think we can we think we can gain control of it, but you can't. We can't. We think we can, so we try. And even when we think we do, you don't. Right? I got control of it. No, you don't. You get control over nothing. It's the most basic thing. You controlling your breath right now? Are you making sure your heart beats? Come on, heartbeat. Keep beating. You're not doing anything. You don't control that. We have this such absurd, it's like laughable illusion of control. Your brain. How about your brain? Are you controlling your brain activity? No. Are you controlling not having cancer? Are you controlling the proper division of cells in your body so it doesn't No, you don't control any of that. Even things in life. Do you control your job? No, you can do your best, but I love this job I have right now. I love it. I'll do the best I can, but I have no control over it. You can watch it. No one can watch it. Everyone can watch it. People can love it. They can hate it. Business can go boom. Business can bust. It's all totally out of my hands. And let's say you're one of those rare people. You have such great control over everything. Right? You're wonderful. That's amazing. Good for you. In 100 years, no one will remember you anyway. No one will even know you ever lived. And if that's depressing for you, great. Awesome. If you think life is a vapor, is depressing, great. Fantastic. Let go of the material things of this world. Stop being anxious about those things you see and touch. Start thinking about the spiritual world. The less time we can focus on the material world, the better. The more time we can focus on the spiritual world, the better. Prioritize relationships, prioritize God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. Love your neighbors yourself. Because life here is a vapor. Let me say that differently. Life here is a vapor. Life there in heaven or hell is for eternity. So let's get that right. Make sure you live life now for the one you want to spend eternity in. Let go of this world. Focus on the spiritual and heavenly realms. God willing, you will be there soon. Our podcast is called Politics by Faith. We take the news of the day, whatever story's happening in the news, we run it through a biblical filter and make sense of it and give some peace and perspective that the lamestream is obviously lacking. You can download that anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's called Politics by Faith. Mike Slater, First TV. Spread the word.